Hello, my name is Eric Winston, applying for full-time faculty position at Henry Ford Community College. First question. Share your teaching experience and non-teaching experience that are relevant to teaching business classes at a community college. History. I started teaching at community colleges about a decade ago. I've taught at more than half a dozen community colleges in the Metro Detroit area, including Macomb Community College, Oakland, Wayne, Washtenaw, and at Henry Ford Community College. I've also taught at a number of four-year universities at the junior and senior level while I was there. It's a nice diversity of background, a nice history. I've had the opportunity to teach classes that are already set up. I've had to create classes, gotten to understand some of the basic issues that face administrations, the colleges, the students, and publishers from a very diverse background. So I think that is an excellent addition to my resume. Been able to adapt to different scenarios because of the wide range of colleges that I've been at. And it's gotten me to the point where I've taught in a number of different formats, the traditional hybrids, online, on ground, synchronous, asynchronous classes. I've taught on nights, I've taught on weekends, so I have a very diverse background as far as teaching. Courses. Because I've taught at a number of institutions, I have a very diverse background as far as the courses that I've taught. I've taught entrepreneurial skills, I've taught business law, international economics, anything related to the economics and business department in the community college. I've probably taught at everything but accounting. I don't have a background in that one. So if you need me in different areas in an emergency, I'm available. I've also seen this happen. Dean has asked me to step in when they didn't have an adjunct, so I was able to help out. Teaching. As I noted, I've taught at community colleges most of the time. I've also taught at four-year institutions. What it has taught me is that there's a very big difference between the two institutions. I think the diversity is much greater at a community college than at a four-year institution. One of my favorite stories is one semester, a student and his daughter were in my class. This wasn't the same class, it wasn't the same subject, but they were in the same semester. And they had a friendly little rivalry going on. They kept asking me what the other was doing. I obviously couldn't tell them, but they found that very interesting, and I thought it was really great that they were competing against one another academically. Other things I've learned in teaching is I have taught at the prison institutions in Jackson, Michigan. Very different teaching when you don't have access to a lot of technology. You have to be prepared, bring Scantrons. I had to scrounge up extra textbooks because they didn't get enough in time. Getting enough hard copies 2 weeks out. So that is a very different and unique teaching experience. Teaches you to make sure you're prepared a couple of weeks in advance. I really appreciated that learning lesson. Non-teaching experience. For 20 years, I was a financial advisor, self-employed most of the time. Living without a net, as we like to jokingly call it. When I was a financial advisor, I had over 150 clients. Primarily, the role was to help clients plan for retirement, college, small businesses, help them with their planning, estate planning, and so forth and so on. First couple of years in the field, I acted as a manager as well, helping train new financial advisors coming into the practice, doing things as holding training sessions, sitting in on client meetings, helping them go over the practice, practicing scripts and things of that nature. Later in the career, I joined a practice. Assets were close to $1 billion under management. In there, I also served a couple of other roles, helped set up workshops for small businesses, tax professionals, helped out with the initial rollout of the media networking, the social media, things such as LinkedIn and Facebook. A very good experience on being a small business owner. The pros and cons of it are really interesting. Share your online teaching experiences and describe your methodology in teaching students online, both synchronous and asynchronous. Most of the colleges that I've taught at, they require you to go through some training before you can teach online. The first one was Macomb Community College, and it was a great experience to learn everything I could about Canvas. Other institutions, they had different LMS systems, learning management systems that are the primary tool on the college campus. So I have taught on Canvas, Blackboard, D2L, and Moodle. And in some of the cases, they ask you to get certification, which doesn't transfer to other colleges. They don't like that. They want their own certification. So I've had to get recertified a couple of times, but that's the way it is. The largest difference I can say in my teaching experience online is before COVID, it was maybe 20%. And I hate to admit this, but it was more set the class up, just answer some questions. It wasn't as involved. After COVID, it seemed to be more 60, 70% online. And when COVID first hit, what I noticed is a lot of students had difficulty with online, which, to be honest, I felt bad for them. I had students who would just take pictures of the homework and email it to me. They let me know they did not understand, they weren't comfortable with whatever the LMS we were using. So from there, I learned I really had to expand what I do online to make sure they have as much information as possible. It's a distance, but I was trying to bridge that. One of the things that I normally do is I record my message. I record lectures. I go over the PowerPoint slide. I provide as many videos as I can, YouTube and anywhere else. I make sure I go over all of the resource material that the publishers have. I try to incorporate those as much as possible so the students have as much practice and interaction as they can. And I try to incorporate all of these things so when it comes time for the exams, they are as prepared as they possibly can be. When it comes to synchronized courses, they're getting close to the point where it almost looks like a face-to-face class, to me anyway. I use other resources that are available. Kahoots is one of my favorite ones. If you're not familiar with that tool, you can set up short quizzes. Because you're limited to the number of characters, you can't get really in depth, but it's a great way to gamify a class. And students love it. They love the competition. When I'm doing synchronous and now face-to-face as well, I'm spending more time going over quizzes than lecturing. Because the lectures are recorded, I'm trying to get the students to go over the textbook, read the chapter ahead of time, come in, and let's ask questions, let's prepare for quizzes, let's get some real world scenarios, let's get some interaction. So I'm incorporating that in online as well. Quizzes, while we are there, they're not happy about it, but once they get used to it, they appreciate the benefit of actually going over the homework material and things of that nature. Asynchronous, we can't do things live, but I do record some of the activities. I like to leave a little more practice and extra credit material for asynchronous courses. I also open up the availability to meet virtually for asynchronous classes. You don't have the chance to stop and talk to me, so I try to make myself more available in that vein. Describe a student success story. how you made a difference. The story happened a couple of years ago. I had a student who was very engaged in the class, always asking questions, always putting in comments, made it a real pleasure. The thing that struck me about midterm, they weren't turning in homework or it was late, missing a couple of classes. So I asked the student to stay after class, and I simply asked, is something wrong? How can I help? I see you're struggling a little bit. I think that was the breaking point. The student started to cry, broke out into tears. We talked for a while, I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour. Student expressed that they were taking 5 classes, working full time, home obligations, and I think they were just overwhelmed and they just reaching a breaking point. We talked for a while. I took the student down to a counselor. I made a suggestion, maybe you need to back off the 5 classes. This may not be what you can handle right now. Short story, the short version is, instead of 2 years, I think the student graduated in 3.5. They were excited to graduate, and I remember when they were walking and I went to the graduation, they were as excited as they could be. I'm surprised they were able to walk on the ground. They seemed to be floating, and I really thought that was one of the better experiences I've had trying to help students out when they were going through a tough time. Strategy for students who stop attending classes. I normally check once a week to make sure grades are in. I try to do that no later than Thursday of the following week an assignment is due. And if a student hasn't turned something in or they're not logging in online, I start to send out follow-up letters or emails asking, is there anything I can do to help? I put links in the emails and announcements just so they know there's help. The emails are a little personal. Announcements inside of the class shell itself, just general statement, hey, some students are having a difficult time, they may be missing, these are the college resources, and I try to reach out to them as much as possible. Some colleges have additional material that you can use or different resources through registration and counseling, and I try to get a hold of those different team members to make sure that if they have different ways to reach out to the students, that they can do that as well. I know instructors are limited as what we can and cannot do, and I don't want to intrude on the student. I don't want to create a problem. But I try to find as many ways as possible to reach out to the students, to let them know about the resources that are available. If they need additional time, I'm willing to let them have that. Places where they can learn how to study, maybe that's the problem. So I use everything available at my disposal to try to get the students to their next goals. Okay, thank you. I'm available for questions. Please feel free to reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you.